Top 5 scariest villains of the 1920s, from silent screams to soundtrack terror. The 1920s was a decade of great change. Women began to break away from the restrictive fashions of the Victorian age. People danced the Charleston and the tango, and a certain German fella made some movies that were, shall we say, a little too terrifying. But it wasn't just the Germans who were making scary movies. America and Britain had a go at making their own horror films during this time period too. So today, let's look at some of the most frightening villains from the 1920s. Number 10, The Phantom, the Cat, and the Canary. This film is notable for being one of the first American horror films to be produced by a major studio, Universal Pictures. The story follows two brothers who find out that their aunt has left them a pile of money in her will, but only if they spend one night in her old mansion. Of course, they accept the challenge, and what follows is a series of spooky occurrences, including ghostly apparitions and a crazed killer. The identity of the murderer is kept secret until the very end, when it's revealed to be the family cat. That's right, the cat is the killer, and honestly, it's still one of the most effective twists in any horror movie. Number 9, The Spider Woman. In 1926, a British film called The Spider Woman was released. It's actually an interesting film, being one of the earliest examples of a female serial killer in cinema. The story follows the titular character who lures men into her apartment, ties them up, and then throws them off her balcony. She would then catch them with a net and take them back to her apartment to be killed another day. Eventually, the police set up a trap and are able to capture the Spider Woman. The film was actually quite influential in the serial killer subgenre of horror, inspiring later films such as Black Mama, White Mama, and even Psycho. Number 8, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This classic tale by Victor Hugo was first published all the way back in 1831, but it wasn't until 1923 that it was adapted for the screen. Lon Chaney plays Quasimodo, the hunchback who falls in love with a Romani woman named Esmeralda, but she loves a handsome soldier named Phoebus instead. The jealous hunchback then kidnaps Esmeralda and takes her to the top of Notre Dame Cathedral, where he intends to kill her. This is one of the earliest and best adaptations of the novel and features an iconic performance from Lon Chaney. Number 7, The Unknown. This one might come as a surprise to you, as it was actually directed by Todd Browning, the man who also directed Freaks. The plot follows a young woman who attends a seance, accidentally summons a demon, and then becomes pregnant with its child. The film features some truly disturbing imagery, including a scene where the demon impregnates the woman by entering her through the window. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Number 6, Doc Caligari. We can't talk about scary villains without mentioning Doc Caligari. This German expressionist film is considered to be one of the greatest horror films ever made. The story follows a hypnotist who uses a sleepwalking murderer to commit crimes for him. The film is notable for its groundbreaking special effects and its portrayal of the human psyche. It also helped to popularize the use of the unreliable narrator in horror movies. Number 5, Nosferatu. This is the story of a man who contracts a deadly disease known as vampirism. He becomes convinced that the only cure is to drink the blood of an innocent virgin. The film was banned in Germany after its release due to its blasphemous subject matter, but it was eventually shown to the public and became a critical success. It's often considered to be one of the best vampire films ever made. Number 4, London After Midnight. This lost film is notable for being one of the first to feature a serial killer as the main antagonist. The story follows a Scotland Yard inspector who is trying to track down a mysterious killer who is murdering women in London. As the body count rises, the inspector becomes increasingly desperate in his search for the killer. Unfortunately, the film is now considered to be lost media. Only a few stills and a creepy poster remain. Number 3, The Hands of Orlok. This Italian horror film is based on the story of a man who is given the hands of a dead pianist. The film was directed by Roberto Roberti and starred the legendary Boris Karloff. Sounds pretty crazy, right? Well, it gets weirder. The man begins to experience visions and flashbacks of the pianist's life, and he soon realizes that the hands he received are actually those of a serial killer. Talk about a plot twist. Number 2, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. This German silent film is one of the earliest examples of psychological horror in cinema. It tells the story of a young woman who becomes obsessed with a mysterious doctor and his cabinet of anatomical oddities. As the film progresses, it becomes clear that the doctor is using the woman's obsession with death to further his own twisted plans. Number 1, The Last Man on Earth, based on the novel The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. This film is the story of a group of sailors who are shipwrecked on an island inhabited by human-animal hybrids. They soon discover that the island is controlled by a mad scientist who is conducting horrific experiments on the creatures. You know, if that doesn't sound scary enough, just wait until you see the creature effects. They're absolutely terrifying. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed learning about some of the scariest villains of the 1920s. Which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Until next time, my friends.